What's happening, gamers? It's Ran. Today we're taking Equinox Prime all the way to solo level cap. And going in, I actually expected this to be a total mess. She's got 2 forms, 7 abilities all in, constant switching around. On paper it looked like one of the most overwhelming frames in the game to play. This is probably why her usage rates are so low. Base Equinox sits at just 0.05%, and even the Prime only reaches 0.45%. For a frame this strong, that's actually insanely low. One of the main reasons probably why the normal frame is so low is due to having to farm 2 frames to get 1, but the Prime just makes no sense to me. So I actually wanted to test it properly. Loads of you had asked for a true Metamorphosis build, swapping constantly between day and night form. I gave it a good honest shot, and I completely understood why almost every Equinox player eventually gives up and settles on one form. Even preserving stored maim damage with energy transfer, the swapping was messy and just really wasn't that fun. So I went back to what the frame is actually really famous for, the day form main build, and that's when it all started to click. Now I get why this has stayed as one of the strongest infinite scaling nukes in the Warframe for years. So let's get into it. For this setup, we're Helminthing over Metamorphosis. Painful to see, I know, moving away from the frame's signature mechanic, but once you commit the day form, there's really no reason to switch back. In its place, we're running Terrify, combined with corrosive projection and ability strength that gives us full armor strip. This massively boosts our slam damage and our main detonations. The build itself actually comes from the Equinox main, Estelle. If you want to understand this frame at the deepest level, you need to watch their video. I'll leave the link to their video guide and their Equinox rework discussion in the description below because they're genuinely worth watching. Key mods for the setup here are the Nira set, Nira's Hatred and Nira's Anguish, massively improving our slam setup, which becomes the engine that charges the maim. Alongside that, we got Rolling Guard for status cleanse, giving us some breathing room through the run, Catalyzing shields for shield gating of course, and then for the Arcanes we have Arcane Energize to help with energy sustain, and Molt Augmented to keep scaling our ability strength as the mission progresses. For the Archon shards, we're running 4 Tau red shards for strength alongside 1 Tau yellow cast speed shard. Weapons in the build actually don't matter that much, except for one, your melee. Most people when you see this build run Magistar because it's the king of the slams, but I've been looking for an excuse to use TENET EXEC for the longest time. The one I have has a 57% magnetic bonus, and honestly this weapon is just so cool. Every slam sends out huge corpus shockwave bubbles flying out, and paired with Equinox it absolutely chunks enemies. It's incredibly satisfying. The only enemies that really caused us any problems through the run was of course the Thrax later in the run, where you need a proper armor strip and enough height on the slam to maximize the damage. For the rest of the loadout, I just brought support weapons, and they're not really the star of the show here. For the companion, we're using Sly Vulpaphyla, another idea borrowed from Estelle. Whenever you jump, it creates a decoy that pulls enemy attention away from you, gives you some surprisingly valuable breathing room. If the companion also goes down, you've got Slide Devolution, and that kicks in, turning it into a larva form, while also reducing enemy accuracy against you. It's another small layer of survivability that adds up over the level cap run. For the operator, we have our standard Void Cascade setup with Matarai and the 547 amp. As you guys who have been watching me for a while know, I really enjoy this amp for the flexibility and the 5 and the primary fire burst, and the glaive and the alt fire, which supports in getting us back up if we do get downed with last gasp. Don't forget to like and share the video and sub to the channel to keep up to date with all the latest level cap runs. Now let's talk about the gameplay, because this is where Equinox finally clicked for me. The loop is ridiculously simple. Activate the 3, which is Provoke. Activate the 4, which is Maim. Strip with Terrify. Heavy Slam, Heavy Slam, Heavy Slam. Build millions of stored damage in Maim, and then press 4 again to deactivate Maim. Watch the entire tile set disappear. Honestly, the amount of numbers that explode across your screen is a pure dopamine hit. Every single Maim detonation felt satisfying. It's one of those builds where you can literally watch your damage getting bigger and bigger before casting it all in one giant explosion. And because Maim scales effectively infinitely, it just keeps getting stronger, and that's why Equinox has actually stayed relevant in Void Cascade and level cap runs particularly for so many years. Looking at her abilities, the passive is fine. You gain a small amount of health and energy whenever picking up the opposite orb, pretty much like Equilibrium. It's a nice little quality of life piece, but definitely not what makes the frame. Our first ability was Helminth over with Terrify. This gave us permanent armor strip and became one of the most important buttons in the entire build. build. The only weird thing I noticed was what looked like a bug later on with the Thrax. Several times I completely stripped their armor only for it to suddenly pop back again. If anyone knows why that was happening there, let me know down in the comments because it genuinely confused me. I've not seen that before. Ability 2 is Rage. I honestly didn't use it all that much. Yes, it's great to have extra damage vulnerability, but making level cap enemies attack faster isn't generally something I was desperate to do. Provoke, really solid ability, extra ability strength while active, and the energy drain was barely noticeable thanks to Energize. And then finally, the star of the show, Maim. This is why you're playing Equinox. No line of sight restrictions, scales indefinitely. You can store up millions and millions of damage, then just wipes everything around you whenever you choose to release it. It's one of the most satisfying nukes I've actually used in Warframe. As for the run itself, this one actually went pretty smoothly. Damage was obviously never an issue. Surviving at times was though. Shield gating, as you guys who have watched me for some time know, isn't exactly my strongest skill, so I hit the floor a few times with that, but thankfully the damage output more than made up for it. Energy was super comfortable through the run. I did drop an energy pad in a panic at one point, but outside that I never had to really think about it. Biggest annoyance through this run by far was those corpus nullifiers. If you've ever played any frame that channels an ability or has an aura type cast, you'll know nullifiers are so painful. I was building up loads of damage stored up in Maim, only to accidentally slam down into a bubble and just lose it all instantly. It was an absolute melt. More than once I found myself standing there looking at the screen, just wondering how I'd managed to delete my own nuke. So where did I land on Equinox after finally taking her to solo level cap? I completely understand the hype now. She's genuinely one of the strongest scaling frames in the game. I also completely understand why almost nobody bothers with a full day-night swapping playstyle. It's a really cool concept on paper, but level cap naturally pushes you towards specializing into the one form. Personally, I'd love to see DE revisit Metamorphosis in the future because I think constantly switching forms should be Equinox's defining gameplay look. Right now, it just isn't as rewarding as committing to day form and abusing Maim, particularly now that we have Sirius and Orion and how cool their swap animation is and that they get a full grey bar on swapping. Huge shout out again to Estelle for putting together such an incredibly well thought out build and for all the work they've done in understanding this frame to the core. Definitely check out their video in the description if you want to go deeper into Equinox and see their take on a potential rework. There's mad science going on over there. Anyway lads, another solo level cap clear in the books. If you've made it this far, let me know. Are you still playing the classic main build, or have you managed to cook up some kind of true Metamorphosis setup to run through the level cap? I'd love to hear it. The next frame up, as you know, is Limbo, and after that we'll be opening up another community vote in our Discord to decide the next 4 frames to go to the community vote on YouTube. If you haven't joined yet, the link's down in the description below. It's becoming a great place to share builds, ask questions, fashion frame, and vote on upcoming frames in the series. If you enjoyed the video, as always, help me do battle with the YouTube algorithm with a like, a sub, and a share. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay here, and until next time lads, take it easy.
Destabilizing the Zeraman is a foolhardy strategy. The Void has already started to degrade our enemy's judgment. You did well to stop them.
What you have learned here will serve you well.
Ransackt